What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. This is going to be an update video to the Enhancement Shaman tree. We're going to take another look at the Enhancement Shaman tree and what's been iterated on since I last looked at it. My mic is really high. Let's put it up here. Here we go. How's this? Is this good, guys? Get your coffee. I got some notes here. We're ready to go. Wowhead has kind of kindly consolidated some of these changes right here in a Blizzard post. So we're going to go through each of these, and I'm going to show you what's kind of changed on the tree since we last went through it, because there's been some really good changes, a couple of interesting changes. I think on the whole, I'd have to say that this tree has been buffed since my first video on it. So there's a couple changes that are maybe could be considered a nerf, but we're going to talk about them all and go through them. Okay, so let's get going. The first major change that I want to look at is that Unruly Winds got changed. So this was everything. Let me go back here. Let me show you really quick. The top section is interesting in that, like, you kind of want to just look at this. Unruly Winds was a 15% chance. Wind Fury weapon has a 15% chance to trigger a third attack. Let's look at it now. It is now a 100% chance to trigger a third attack. I think that happened maybe a couple weeks ago, but that is a significant change to Wind Fury weapon. That is like crazy, and I don't know if that's what their intention was, if this is like a mistake, but this is a massive change. On the live game, the conduit that you have gives you about a 50% chance to trigger a third attack. Now they're just bumping it to a 100% chance, which is kind of insane. So it means that if you want to do like a Wind Fury build, that's like a very legitimate thing now. Triggering 3 attacks instead of 2 is very substantial. So that's a good first change there. Right underneath it, we have Doomwinds, which they've now added there's an attack portion to Doomwinds. So it says strike your target for 65% attack power, physical damage, and increase your chance to activate Wind Fury weapon to 75%, increase its damage by 25%. So you're obviously combining that with Forceful Winds, bumping the damage up to 45%. You're going to get a lot of stacking Wind Fury damage, and you're going to be getting a guaranteed third proc now. So some really good synergy going on here with Wind Fury. This is still only a single target attack, so the Doomwinds active now is just going to be strike your target, just one target. You can't spread it out. It doesn't cleave because you have Crash Lightning down. It's sort of its own separate thing. It'd be nice if this was AoE maybe, but it's fine. On top of that, the Wind Fury weapon chance to proc is still only 75%. So on the live game, if you drop your Doomwinds totem by dropping Wind Fury totem, by the way, then you get a 100% chance to proc Wind Fury. This is only a 75% chance, so it's not guaranteed. It's still very, very high, and your likelihood of proccing it often is still there. Couple that with the fact that you get a third hit for free now, is pretty substantial. So all the Wind Fury stuff is looking pretty cool as just an opener here. I kind of like that. Let's flip to the other side of the tree here. We've got, let me just make, I'll just make this big. Let me just look at, this got changed. So this used to be Primal Lava Actuators or Primal Primer was the choice node here. They've just removed Primal Primer, and I'm immediately going to undo what I just did. Let's just hear what they have to say. Primal Primer is no longer an option on the tree. Primal Primer and Primal Lava Actuators were two different ways of making Lava Lash better. We opted to keep Primal Lava Actuators. So they essentially did a similar thing. Primal Primer might have been a little bit better in cleave situations, but generally speaking, PLA, I think, just outshone Primal Primer in all scenarios there. So I'm kind of glad that it's gone. Didn't really make any sense. So it's there. Now, right underneath Primal Lava Actuators used to be this Elemental 2-point node here. Okay? It is now moved. Okay? So now it's over here. Elemental Weapons has now moved down here. This is more centralized, and that's really, really great. You're basically always going to take this now on every build, except for maybe one that focuses entirely on your physical damage with Doomwinds and like Ascendance and stuff, right? Because this buffs your fire, frost, and nature damage, and Doomwinds and Wind Fury and the wind strikes from Ascendance do not count as fire, frost, or nature damage. So there might be a couple builds that don't use elemental weapons, but by and large, if you're doing a fire build or an ice strike build with Hailstorm, a Witch Doctor Wolfbones build with elemental spirits. You know, there's a ton of builds that are going to benefit from you having more fire, frost, and nature damage, and it's more centralized now, which is really, really cool. Okay? Let's talk about this section right here, Crash Lightning. Underneath Crash Lightning, there used to be a Chain Lightning rank 2, and Hot Hands used to be here. And then there used to be a node called Gathering Storms right here. It's Gathering Storms, Chain Lightning rank 2, Hot Hands. Let's see what it is now. Just select everything? Nope, stop talking. So now we've got Gathering Storms here. It's a 1-point node instead of a 2-point node. Each target hit by Crash Lightning increases the damage of your next Storm Strike. Okay. Then we have, this is a new node here. Now we've obviously moved Elemental Weapons. So Hot Hands got moved up here, and it's now a 2-point node instead of a 1-point node. Okay. So now you can get a, reduces the cooldown by 38%. And the damage by 50%, or reduces the cooldown by 75%, the damage by 100%. So I think that Hot Hands being a 2-point node is perfectly fine, guys. It's perfectly fine. They consolidated a couple talents over here. They literally just got rid of the Chain Lightning rank 2, which is right here. That's Chain Lightning rank 2. They got rid of this, and they instead just baked it into the baseline ability. They talk about it right here. So Chain Lightning rank 2 functionally baked into Crash Lightning / Chain Lightning interactions, which is great. Chain Lightning rank 2, in case you don't know, says that every target hit by Chain Lightning reduces the cooldown of Crash Lightning. Let me just make sure that's true. Let's go to gameplay and check it really, really quick. I have it right here. Chain Lightning. Each target hit by Chain Lightning reduces the cooldown on Crash Lightning by 1 second. Each target hit by Chain Lightning reduces the cooldown on Crash Lightning. That's important to remember because of this new talent. So functionally, they just baked that in now to the Crash Lightning and Chain Lightning. So as many targets as you can hit with Chain Lightning, reduce the cooldown on Crash Lightning. Right now, that's 3 targets. 3 targets. So if you hit 3 targets with Chain Lightning, you get 3 seconds off of Crash Lightning, which is a 9-second cooldown, not being reduced by haste. Okay. On top of that, they added this, Crashing Storms. This is very cool. Crash Lightning damage bumped by 40%. That's huge. It doesn't do a lot of damage right now. It does a decent amount of damage, but it's only ever like maybe 5% of your overall damage. Now it's going to be way more. Chain Lightning now jumps to 2 extra targets. That's 5 targets total. Okay, let's just look at Chain Lightning. See what it says. Hurls a bolt of lightning, damaging an enemy, and then it jumps to 2 additional enemies, so affects 3 targets total. If you take Crashing Storms, and now it affects 5 targets total. And they functionally baked in the cooldown reduction that Chain Lightning gives Crash Lightning. So now, Crash Lightning can get reduced by 5 seconds instead of 3. That is very substantial. My Crash Lightning cooldown right now is 7 seconds on my Enhancement Shaman. Now, I have about 30% haste on my current Enhancement Shaman. I can get more, but I have 30% haste. My Crash Lightning cooldown is 7 seconds. I could reduce that by 5 seconds because of Crashing Storms to make it a 2-second cooldown. That's really, really cool. And means that you can be getting a lot more damage out of it because Crash Lightning, of course, is now doing 40% more damage. So I think this change is substantial for a Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning, Storm Strike build, which is sort of the original AoE that was coming out of, you know, post-MOP Enhancement Shamans. This has kind of been the AoE rotation. Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning, Storm Strike, Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning, Storm Strike. That's what you're doing. In recent times, we, of course, have Primal Lava Actuators and, you know, Lashing Flames, which is not on this talent tree anymore, by the way. So you would just be doing, like, Lava Lash, spread it with Flame Shock, detonate with Fire Nova, right? That would kind of be the build. That's your big AoE build right now. Now, with this change, you can get a 5-target Chain Lightning. It reduces the cooldown of Crash Lightning by 5 seconds, giving your Crash Lightning a 2-second cooldown. Your Crash Lightning, of course, buffs the damage of your next Storm Strike because of Gathering Storms. And then your Storm Strike, you could take Storm Flurry, which gives it a chance to chain and buff. Anytime your Stormbringer procs, it buffs the damage of Storm Strike by an additional 25%. It makes it nature damage, so you have mastery scaling. So you can scale the mastery of Crash Lightning damage, of Chain Lightning damage, and you can now get some mastery scaling out of your Storm Strikes. So you could really, guys, you could really do a like Witch Doctor Wolf Bones, you know, Alpha Wolf build with Crash Lightning, Chain Lightning, Storm Strike. That's kind of what we're seeing here. Because your Chain Lightning will now hit 5 targets. Your Crash Lightning gets reduced by 5 seconds. Your Crash Lightning buffs the damage of Storm Strike. Your Storm Strike generates Maelstrom. Your Maelstrom generation from Crash Lightning and Storm Strike reduces the cooldown on your wolves. See what I'm going with there? That's the build. That's kind of an original, like, AoE rotation with Witch Doctor Wolfbones thrown into the mix. So I like this a lot. Very, very cool. We'll get to Alpha Wolf in a minute. There's been a change to how Overflowing Maelstrom now works with Hailstorm, in that it does now work with Hailstorm. It didn't work before. So they talk about it right here. Hailstorm now provides your next Frost Shock a bonus for up to 10 Maelstrom weapon charges spent to better work with Overflowing Maelstrom. The maximum bonus targets is still limited to 5. So it's actually 6 total. So Hailstorm says each stack of Maelstrom weapon consumed buffs the damage of Frost Shock by 15% and causes your next Frost Shock to hit 1 additional target per Maelstrom spent up to 5. That means 6 targets total because you're getting your initial target that you hit plus 5 additional targets. Okay? So that's really good. I can move this over. This is driving me crazy. There we go. It's all fixed now. So the target cap is still 6. That doesn't change. But if you can now consume up to 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, right? So we get the calculator out, shall we? Let me see what Frost Shock does right now. My Frost Shock does... It does about 2,700 damage. Okay, 2,700 damage. Now, we use... let's say we use Primordial Wave. And we're running this build here with Primordial Wave gives you 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon, okay? So you press Primordial Wave, then you press Chain Lightning, which is now a 10-stack Maelstrom Chain Lightning because of Overflowing Maelstrom, so it does a lot of damage. Then your next Hailstorm is prepped and ready to go, and it does 15% more damage times 10, so it does 150% more damage. That does 4K now, and it hits 6 targets. There you go. 24,000 damage Frost Shock now. Now, what if you also hit Ice Strike? Ice Strike increases the damage of your next Frost Shock by 100%. Well, let's just double the damage of that, shall we? Now it does 50,000 damage. So there's a combo there that I talked about when I first talked about Enhancement Shaman that now actually functionally works. It takes a little bit of setup, but you could think on pull, you could do like Primordial Wave into Lava Lash to spread your Flame Shocks around just for fun. Then you do a Giga Chad Chain Lightning, which is going to do 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon damage. So the damage will be really, really high on your Chain Lightning. That preps your next Hailstorm. You hit Ice Strike to double the damage, and then you press Frost Shock. It's going to hit 6 targets, and it's going to do 50,000 damage total. Now, that's just with like whatever the numbers I have here. The numbers are going to go up, guys. They're going to go much, much higher than that when you get more mastery, yada, yada. So, very, very good change. I'm glad that they're making it work with Overflowing Maelstrom. I think it's a really good change. Really happy about that. So, that's A+ for me. Really, really happy about that. What else here? We talked about the position of Hot Hand. It got moved. There's no more stuff over here. We're just looking at the last section, which is the Ascendance section. So, let's see what they did to Ascendance. Ascendance is now a choice node with deeply rooted elements. Oh my god, we'll talk about that in a minute. Thorim's Invocation now remembers whether you most recently cast Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning, and uses that spell when you use Wind Strike rather than always using Lightning Bolt. Oh my god, this is insane. So they're talking about this here. When Ascendance is active, Wind Strike will automatically consume up to 5 Maelstrom weapon stacks to discharge a Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning at your enemy, whichever you most recently used. So this now works in AoE. This Ascendance build now works in AoE. Imagine this. You're literally going to be Darth Vader. You're just going to be like in AoE, man. You just pop Ascendance, which does a bunch of damage right away, and then you're just slinging Chain Lightning. Like, because your Wind Strikes are generating Maelstrom weapon. You can have Feral Spirits out at the same time if you want to. So you're just going to be slinging Chain Lightning at enemies. So the quality of life that gets buffed here is absolutely incredible. It's going to turn Ascendance into an incredibly terrifying cooldown now, as it should be. Or you could opt for Deeply Rooted and still have the same benefits and get a more consistent proc rate on your Ascendance. It's going to proc for 6 seconds, so you want to hopefully have some Maelstrom weapon stacks ready to go. It might be a little bit less consistent in terms of proccing Thorim's Invocation, but it's really, really cool that you can proc Deeply Rooted. You can proc Ascendance, and then for 6 seconds, you're generating 2 Maelstrom every 1 second. So for the 6 seconds that this is up, you get 12 Maelstrom weapon stacks, which guarantees at least 2 discharges of Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt, which is very, very good. Very, very good. And I think that, like, this extra addition here, giving it the Chain Lightning effect instead of just Lightning Bolt, is massive for AoE damage in Mythic Plus. Letting us choose between Deeply Rooted or Ascendance is honestly one of my favorite things in the whole game is Deeply Rooted. So I'm so happy that they're bringing this back for Enhancement Shaman. I can't wait to try this thing out. So those are the changes for Ascendance. It's looking really, really cool, and the combos are going to be pretty disgusting. So really good quality of life, guys. They got rid of Primal Primer. Nobody liked it. They buffed sort of Doomwinds, giving it an on-hit effect. They really buffed Unruly Winds, giving you a guaranteed chance to proc a third attack. They buffed the combination between Hailstorm and Overflowing Maelstrom. They cleaned up the middle section of the tree by just baking in baseline the Chain Lightning, reducing the cooldown on Crash Lightning. That's a buff. That's a straight buff. They centralized elemental weapons, which is also a buff, so you can grab it more easily depending on what elemental build you're doing. They gave us an additional bonus to Crash Lightning damage and making Chain Lightning hit 5 targets now, which is an incredible buff. They changed Hot Hand from 1 point to 2 points, which could be considered a nerf, but honestly, this thing is broken. It's completely broken already. Making it 2 points is really not a big deal at all. And finally, they have given us Deeply Rooted elements and buffed the interaction between Ascendance and Thorim's Invocation, which makes it trigger off of Chain Lightning now instead of just Lightning Bolt. These are amazing changes. Honestly, like 9 out of 10 here. The only thing you could say is that Hot Hand's now 2 points, and that's kind of sad. But really, this is like almost 10 out of 10 in terms of the changes. Maybe 9 out of 10, let's say. I really love the direction they're going. Oh, the only other thing is that Doomwinds could have an AoE on-hit effect instead of just a single target effect. So let's call it 9 out of 10 for the changes that they made between the Hot Hand being 2 points and Doomwinds not having AoE. But again, Doomwinds seems to be designed for like a single target burst, not like a AoE. You have lots of other options for AoE. I wouldn't even worry about it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I think the direction for Enhancement Shaman is looking insane. Between the amazing class tree and the straight up 9 out of 10 buffs that we just got on the spec side, this thing's looking crazy. You're going to have so many different builds that if you want to run, you can try out so many different combinations. I can't wait to get in and try this thing. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Drop a like and subscribe if you like this video. Little quick announcement. Literally tomorrow, I am doing my 24-hour stream on Twitch. Actually, it's today now. The video is today. It's already happening. Woof. I'm getting all confused. This video is happening today. I'm filming it the night before in preparation for my 24-hour stream. The 24-hour stream is probably on right now. Twitch.tv/ZukoVibes. Come in, say hello, come check out the stream. I would love to see you. I'm doing a 24-hour stream Monday into Tuesday, so go check that out, guys. Thank you so much for watching once again. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.